Hey guys, uh, what is it? Tuesday? Yeah, it's Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Just wanted to go over a quick review of today's trades. Really fun day, really fun day. And really, I would say it was pretty easy. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there was one pivot really where it ended up not going our way. I'm gonna go over that first. It was the meta trade where if we didn't have this bar here, right, we were coming off what I thought was price, I guess, stalling out, right, where we ended up having very low volume at these highs. Higher highs were very minimal, and then we started to get kind of like lower highs here, just from a bar by bar perspective. Of course, I'm not going to count this day here from a volume perspective because it was that Friday with very low volume. But then we printed like the shooting star pattern here. It's obviously not the top of a down or uptrend, but higher volume will look like good for a continuation, right? Especially underneath, I would say 334.19. But I was looking for a rejection off the highs here, and I want to jump in really quickly. But I mean, target essentially was a retest of this like weekly level. It had already touched it a couple times, but I was looking for like a true retest and a potential bounce from buyers there. I mean, just tech overall looked pretty weak this morning. I would say like right off the open. Microsoft, of course, looked strong, but Google looked pretty rough on an hourly. Meta looked weird on the daily slash hourly. A couple names had interest for potential sell-offs, and I was just like, okay, let's just put it on the watch list. And I saw this pre-market where it kind of broke under, right, and then it started to push back up. So we were coming from under into a potential resistance level. I was looking to execute a short. And then right around here, right, I was looking for this hourly or 15-minute or below. This was actually an hourly level, but that tied into this 334.19, which is the purple line on my previous day low. I had like a small little, I guess you could say, resistance zone here that I was looking to go short in on any sign of weakness. And as we pushed up, right, I saw kind of like the rejection off this candle here. Candle pulled down and closed. I entered and risked the high here, kind of coinciding with the 335.75. Remember the hourly level up there at the white line, and it just pushed down and really didn't jeopardize the low, right? So we started to get towards that opening print low. Nothing really crazy in terms of volume. So I was a little sussed out. I was up like 10%, and then it pulled back up and just consolidated here at the previous day low or the midpoint of the opening print. Never a good sign, right? Especially with volume being completely suppressed like that, it's usually going to run back up. So I made the executive decision as this was pushing back towards the high here. I just bailed on Meta. I took I think it was a break-even stop or maybe even just like negative 2%. Wasn't too sure. I just hit close and then alerted I'm getting out because at the same time I ended up watching QQQ because QQQ was piquing my interest. I was hoping Meta would sell right off the bat, like kind of be relatively weak. Google and Meta was looking to be relatively weak. Maybe Apple, Microsoft relatively strong, of course, Nvidia as well. And I was hoping Meta would sell quicker, right? And then I was hoping QQQ would sell off a little bit later and then pull down into this 387.98. We'll just round it to 388. And I was hoping to get out of Meta and then long QQQ, right? Didn't happen that way, right? QQQ sold off first. Remember, I mentioned that Meta was holding the opening print low. You guys will see here that QQQ sold under the opening print low, made its way down straight to 387.98, right? What's the significance of 397 or yeah, 387.98? It was the weekly level that has been, I guess, hasn't really been retested. It's been broken above, right? We had one pullback here, but I don't know if that really counts. But other than that, we kind of gapped back above this level and then started to pull back into it again. Once again, low volume, right? I mean, this candle here was in potential jeopardy of, I would say, a sweep. But overall, the volume and the spread decreased significantly. Once again, we won't count this day here. It's just an anomaly volume candle day. But overall, I mean, spread and volume was dampened up here. But it did touch this 388 level, and I was just wanting to see how it reacted. And then obviously, we go to the chart here. This is when I closed QQQ, or I'm sorry, Meta for a break-even stop. Let's call it break-even. Actually, I'll give myself the loss. We'll say it's an L. So, 2% loss because I saw this starting to push down here, and we kind of got tweezers, although it wasn't the best, but we ended up getting a push and breakout through here, right? And as we got this breakout, I actually ended up taking the trade as we basically pulled down to this spot, right? I don't know if I should have done this. I had two entries on this, if I'm being honest. So I alerted the second one with you guys as well for a re-entry, but it pulled down. Oh, I think I did it on the 5. Yeah, it was the 5. It had to have been. Reentry was this little green box. So I'm trying to remember why I have these levels here. So it sold down. Volume wasn't crazy, right? But we ended up having kind of like this tweezer formation here. And then this candle closed right above our weekly level. And I ended up taking the trade on the candle close and then risked down here, right? 388 flat. We ended up getting a really nice spike, and I was targeting the high of day. And then there was also a dark pull print up to like 389.27, I want to say, something a little bit higher than the initial high. And we ended up trading it all the way back up. I didn't take out those highs, so I was looking for a re-entry 100%. And then this is where I notated this, right? And this was unchanged. It was the fair value gap here on the 5-minute. Even better too, we can note that this was an order block, right? If you guys, I mean, I'm not going to go into entirely what an order block is. If you guys need to go through the education section. I have a whole video on that. But it's simply a state in delivery in basically taking out a lower high, higher low, etc., right, with one candle and essentially sweeping that spot, right? So we ended up pushing out here, made its way up within one candle, right? This was a 5-minute bar. I think it was like right around here. We ended up sweeping right there. This candle, I think, is when the new 5-minute opened, but we ended up sweeping it and then we pulled back down, right? So this was an order block, so I wanted to identify really where that order block stemmed from. It was more than likely off this candle here. You could tell by the volume in each subsequent little, 1-minute candle. Obviously, you don't want to be doing this entirely off 1 minute. You just want to be able to identify the order block, where it started. Happened to fit in really nicely with the 5-minute fair value gap. So this ended up pushing right back down, right? I didn't take it as soon as it touches. That's stupid. You never want to do that. You want to wait for confirmation just to see if the level holds. And you're going to have a worse fill, right? You're not going to have a perfect fill. That's okay. You just want to have confirmation, and then you're good to go. And then you could risk that level, right, or have your entry be that spot. Let's say, the entry was like right around here. Say I don't get a perfect one. Now I have, I could at least risk the low here, and then we're targeting what? Probably the initial lower high, or still keep it the high day. There's your 3R, right? That's kind of how it would work. But yeah, I think I got in somewhere as this was pushing out. I don't think I got a perfect entry. I got in somewhere up here, right? Somewhere at the top of this fair value gap. As it pushed out, right, we got up back to this lower high, sold right back down. This was a little bit stressful because I was like, oh shit, I'm probably wrong. I probably should have trimmed here. But really, it just kind of held this spot bar by bar too. You guys can see we just draw a simple trend line. It's not going to be perfect, right? You guys can still see it did break under. But if you think about it, it's still a higher low, right, from here to there. It did break under the trend line. That's why I usually don't use trend lines for shit like this. But yeah, I wasn't even on a 1 minute at this point. At this point, I was used to using the 5. Where was I? Here. Right, as long as we didn't get a push under that level or close below, I was fine. And really, kind of, you guys can see how this worked, right? Every single candle close was above that spot. There was wicks that did some damage, but really didn't stop or jeopardize the position. And then it rallied off the final point of this order block, pushed to the high. And I hate to admit it, I wish I could be that cool guy that says I got like 400%, because that's what I think these went like 250, maybe 300. I had the 389 calls. I had 50 contracts too. I had quite a big little order here. But yeah, if we go to the intraday section, I think I posted it on Twitter. I don't need to prove myself. I don't care. I'll show it just cause, I guess. 50 cons. So at 5-3 entries, so that was pretty much I wouldn't say it was the bottom. I think the bottom was 4-8, but like I said, I waited a couple bars on the 1 minute just to get back into that. And then I switched to the 5, added, and just waited for the 5-minute candle close. But yeah, this was a nice move. But unfortunately, like I said, a target was the 3R on this trade, right around that dark pull print high day mark. So I got out at 389 for a 70% win, or 80%. Dude, it just ripped, right? It broke out, pulled back, based the initial high, rallied again for a new high, and then it started to progressively sell off here. And that was the end of the trade, so it wasn't really anything crazy after that. I did take one more. It was SPX, I think it was SPY. It had to have been SPY, right? Oh yeah, it was. Here it was. Oh, where was it? I think I deleted it. Why do I have this drawn? Here? Oh yeah, so it's here. Okay, same concept, right? And this is what I want to talk about with, and I'm not trying to call people out. It's just you have people that like that are just watching like ICT videos that haven't really put in a lot of time with it, haven't really back tested it and understanding like what a true fair value gap is. They're just assuming every three bar pattern is a fair value gap. It's not how it works, guys. And this was a true fair value gap. We had this the bond auction that occurred, right, which ended up dropping SPY pretty harshly right here, right. And this is an intraday news event where a lot of orders were passed. You kind of push back down to this consolidated spot in this zone here, right? So we had our little consolidation. I assumed we caught a bid here. I mean, it also kind of tied in pretty nicely with what was this Monday's lows, but nonetheless, we had some orders here, some points of confluence from support, and I just wanted to have us catch a like kind of a mid bottom, right? We ended up kind of catching here. You guys can see the long wicks, of course, the high volume coming in from the bottom. Of course, part of this was the sell-off as well, but this was a true fair value gap. So you can expect this to move back up to 455. Also, shout out to TradyTix. I'm not going to lie, this was a nice little confluence as well because there was a big GEX level up to 455. I pulled this right here with the fair value gap, right? I mean, the top was 454.84, so about 20 cents off. So it ended up pushing down, like I said, pushed back up. 3-bar pattern, so now we know where our fair value gap starts. Sold down again, pushed up, right? And this is actually right where I got in, right in this little spot right here. So let me grab this guy right here. Boom. Somewhere in between these two, I just risked the low here. Obviously, SPX is going to be a little bit more aggressive, so I didn't want to really take the drawdown of it going an extra, 20 cents or so. I was using SPY's chart, but this would have been probably a pretty big loss at that point. But I was just risking the low here. I mean, so from an RR perspective, right? If we got in at the bottom of this bottom of that candle, risk there, and just look for the fair value gap here, about a 2.5 R. So that's still within kind of my measurement or my measured risk where I'm comfortable putting on a trade. And I was also at a meeting today, so I didn't have too much size on this. Oh, actually, no, I did. I think I had 3 grand. So this is actually before it started. But I didn't, once again, it wasn't like a super crazy trade. I ended up getting in somewhere here. It ripped up, pushed to the fair value gap, and it started to slowly trickle its way in. I think I cut for like 17 to 25%, pretty much full. Contract-wise, I don't know how many I had. I think I had 10 to 15. Whatever 2 grand was. I think my fills were like 210 or something like that. It was somewhere in that range. But yeah, we were looking for the retracement back up into the fair value gap. Of course, and if you guys don't know, these are actually continuations to the sell side, right? And ideally it sweeps sell side liquidity here. So, I mean, realistically, you want to go short at these spots, but you can go long into them, if that makes sense, right? Because it is a void. It is going to push up. It's just about identifying that bottom. It's hard, sometimes you will get caught in falling knives if the market is just trending and it had already accumulated or distributed and kind of collected enough supply to just kind of push through without that retracement needed. You got to be careful of those. But yeah, I mean, this pushed pretty much to target, sold right back down, caught the same spot, pushed up. I wasn't a participant. Get rid of this. I wasn't a participant of this like higher low here, but I was a participant of it getting pretty much to target here, right? It was a pretty nice gain. I think I made 600 bucks, 700 bucks. Was it worth it? Probably not. This also wasn't really an alerted trade. I ended up just kind of posting in the chat. I don't know if I'll be able to find it in here. I don't want to have this be too long, boys. Sorry, guys. Might need to edit this out. I'm trying to find it. I'll give it like 10 more seconds if I can't get it. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I found it. Ha 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 ha. So, I mean, I was at 13%, but it ended up pushing higher. This was the screenshot I get. I'm weird and I always screenshot first so people kind of know I'm in the position. I feel like that's part of my duty, but it ended up pushing up to like 20, 25%. I mean, I marked this entire thing prior to it actually happening, like I said. I mean, it looks a little bit off because this was a 1-minute chart, but you guys can see this structure is everywhere, right? Where you have the push out, pull back, higher low, break out through that break of structure, pull back onto that level. And if we went to a 1-minute chart, I think you guys know I was in that trade, but let's just go to that 1-minute chart. Because I was going to show you guys my order on it, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Right here, right? Push out, higher low, right? Break a structure here. Didn't really come back down to that spot, But you guys can see kind of pulled back down a little bit to that level and then consolidated above and then trickled its way up. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, this was a really nice trade. I think I took it here as it got the higher low and it started to push out. Confirmation for me to hold the trade was above 454.37. But yeah, this was really easy trade. I mean, I definitely over leveraged. I definitely shouldn't have taken this trade considering it was almost the market close, right? I think we had like an hour till. But it is what it is. What it is. I was also at a meeting, so probably shouldn't have done this one. But nice supplementary. I think I made like 800, 900 bucks on it or something like that. But yeah, that was really it. If you guys, I mean, I'm probably gonna post this on Twitter. So I mean, Discord knows already how bullish I was on you. Um, yeah, this thing paid dividends. I mean, we've just been looking for this 2701 to be our risk. Adds against the 2720 or 2794, 28 level, I guess we can say. This was our back against the wall, kind of where we wanted to add to, add with, right, and then risk 27. And really, man, dude, we added yesterday, I think like right around the close, which was here. And then obviously opened under. I didn't add again, and then it pushed out. And then yeah, I mean this. I think it's already at 30 bucks, isn't it? If we look at the extended hours here. Yeah, 29.99. So this, I mean, we were already at what 35, 40% on January's. This still looks good to push to the 30.38 mark, which was this little high here on the weekly. The reason I have this drawn is there's a whole new trade, guys. There's a brand new trade. I mean, I wanted to, I always take things level to level. I mean, realistically, if I catch this zone here, that's a trade, right? And then from there, there's a whole new trade. And then a lot of people, I mean, it's up to you guys. I don't really care how you guys trade, but a lot of people will try to take this zone and extend one singular contract and hold all the way to the top there, right? And then their position fluctuates like that. I don't do that. I'd rather take my position out along the way, of course, but as it hits target, now there's a whole new trade, and we can color coordinate this. Wow, look how easy this is. We'll go here like a red or a bearish one. Like now this little zone here that's orange, this is a whole new trade for me, right? The whole new contracts, whole new risk. You know, these contracts down here I forgot about. I've taken profit on them. Maybe keep a runner or two. I don't even do that sometimes. But this is a whole new trade now, right? From 30.38 up to 33.24, and I'll get time on that. I'll wait for nice confirmations on daily, hourly, just my higher time frames to be safe. Roll with profits as well, and that's how I'll work this one out. But that's really it, guys. I mean, Carvana. Carvana's kind of doing its thing. We'll see how that ends up going out. I'm just like literally sitting at break even on this trade, so I'm not really in jeopardy of losing on this one. Did get a nice sell down this morning to 29.65. Didn't quite fill the gap. Holding this uptrend here. Like I said, I don't really care about that. I mean, I can identify a higher low. I don't really need a trend line to do so. But this is a very interesting chart. I'm not sure it's going to play out. We'll see. This 32 level's big. But if we can get through 32, I think 33 and a half, 35 is in the cards. But I'll update that as we go. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the trade recap. Meta loss. 2 trades on QQQ, both fantastic. I took an SPX off alert, and then U was on alert, of course, from yesterday. So what is that, 4-1? So, I mean, I've been having healthy losses. I mean, you can't avoid losses. They're going to happen, especially with a market that's this overextended. Most of the time, you start to see signs of a sell-off. Most people are going to try to at least take a stab at it. That's what I did today. But for the most part, I mean, I'm really probably going to avoid the short side unless we see something super crazy. I do think that we are seeing a rebalancing occur prior to end of year. I think they're going to be front loading that, as Chem said. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But for the most part, I've just been looking at ARK and growth as my vehicle to the upside. Tesla, of course. But I don't want to give you guys too much of my sauce. But that's pretty much going to be it, guys. Going to conclude this. I hope this taught you guys something, or you guys, I don't know, take something away from it. But enjoy your night. Be safe, right? Wednesday, we'll probably see the high of the week, or, I mean, not going to be the low. So more than likely the high of the week, and either consolidation for, you know, minor pullback. I don't think we will, but, you know, just be careful. Usually Thursday, Friday, you start to see some kind of reversal, or and especially going into like Powell and stuff like that. We have additional data. We have some earnings that could potentially flush out some cloud names and tech with I know Crowd just reported, and then we have snow as well. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. But just be careful. Don't do anything super crazy. Don't FOMO. Just be smart. You guys will be able to catch a rally if there is one. But best thing you can do is just be patient. So see you guys. Have a great night.